listeners out there, and thank you for tuning in to my new podcast, Beyond Hockey. On this podcast, I'll be diving into the experiences and stories of some of Australia's finest past and present hockey and personnel. My name's James Psarakis, and I'll be the host of this podcast. When it comes to hockey, not much of a player at all, a bit more of a hockey badger to be honest, but I do love hearing about the different pathways that people have taken to get to where they are in their professional lives, whether that be as an athlete, a coach, or an official. I'm hoping that this podcast can give the hockey community a bit of recognition I feel it deserves. As I'm sure you're going to hear on this podcast, some of the training and dedication that is required to get to the highest level is quite different to those of other sports. I'm really looking forward to sharing some of these stories and experiences with you that come with being a high-performance athlete, coach, or an official. Our first guest on the Beyond Hockey podcast is the unofficial king of parks, Kurt Lovett. Kurt now has 3 caps for Australia. He has multiple tours of Europe and India under his belt, as well as him having some of the best mentors a hockey player could ask for. During this episode, we'll talk to Kurt about his decision to choose hockey over other sports in his junior years, his move to Sydney and the challenges with work, life and training that were faced, and his pathway from parks to becoming an Australian team member and much more. Welcome, Kurt Lovett, to the first episode of Beyond Hockey. Thank you for joining us and giving up your such valuable time these days.
Thanks, Jim. Good to be here. Happy to
Beautiful.
be involved.
Mate, just going to have a chat today and basically go over your hockeying journey and just let the community know, I guess, the challenges that you face not only in hockey but also outside of hockey, being a sport where you actually have to work full time basically to make a living as well as train at the elite level. So you basically grew up in the Western Regional Parks. Tell us a bit about it.
Yep, grew up in Parks, one of 3. I got a little brother, older sister. And yeah, I guess country town, not much else you do when you're growing up. Just play sport, played a bit of rugby league, touch footy, cricket, hockey. And that was just what our weekends were made up of until I moved away from home. But yeah, obviously growing up, hockey played a big part in my life, and lucky that it's quite a big sport in Parks as well. And yeah, we're very lucky in a small town to have such a big hockey community. But yeah, it was pretty awesome growing up there.
Yeah, you're right about that. You didn't mention you're working part-time at Sports Power Park, so what's happening there?
yeah. And also lucky that my parents may have owned the sports store growing up, which helped out with a bit of gear.
Does indeed. Let's touch on your footy and touch footy. I know you're quite successful at those sports. When did they start, and when did you start kicking into the representative sides of them?
So I played rugby league before hockey. Dad's a big rugby league kind of guy. So yeah, it was just playing a lot of that from probably under 9s and up, and enjoyed it. I was probably a bit of a bigger kid in the younger groups. I'm 97, but I graduated from school in 2014, so I was younger for my year, but sort of older for my sporting age, if that makes sense. So yeah, I was pretty successful in league growing up. Played like the Western region kind of things from under 12s and up, 16s, and then I probably played my last sort of games of league around under 18s. I think I actually played a couple of games under 18s under different names because I wasn't really supposed to play. Thanks to Richard Willis has always liked me. He's like, mate, you can't play league. You're making hockey teams now. I was like, oh, right. But I really loved it. I enjoyed it. My little brother still plays a lot. I always think about if I still sort of pursued that, what would have happened. But I loved it, and I still do love it. And same as touch footy. I played a lot of state touch when I was growing up with a few guys that are sort of running around the NRL now. So that was always good fun. But yeah, it was just, you just played sport in Parks. It was just what you did, and I enjoyed it and was lucky enough to be okay at some of what I played.
Yeah, so what was the, I guess, main reason for you actually choosing hockey over, I guess, your touch and kind of rugby league background, other than, I guess you're obviously quite good at all of them, so I guess hockey's the one that there's not a lot of money in it until you get to that really high level where league and there's obviously a bit more money in it. What was your reason for choosing hockey?
It definitely would be just because of the opportunities I had with hockey growing up in the younger groups. Like with league, the structure was obviously a bit different. Like with hockey, you make your state teams, you go away for your nationals, and I think I just really enjoyed that and made good mates, and it wasn't really much of a decision from there. I just kept on making teams and enjoying it, and I was making a few things in the league as well, but it was just different. It's different for a country kid. I thought going to Sydney and playing league than it was for hockey. Hockey was more accepting and kind of a easier going kind of group of people, and I always sort of thought I wanted to go Olympics as well, so that's probably why I pursued hockey over the league. Plus, I used to get injured a little bit, so that wasn't great.
Yeah, it's fair enough too, and it's probably you've made the right decision, obviously. So let's touch on a bit. When did you move to Sydney, basically, and was it for hockey, for study, or for work, or all of the above?
So yeah, graduated in 2014. Hung around parks for a little bit. Had my 18th January 2015, and then yeah, moved up about like a week later. I was tied up with Gordon, North Sydney then, so they kind of looked after me for a little bit. But yeah, I packed up pretty quickly, and it was for hockey essentially. It was a bit of a lifestyle change as well, like get out of parks and try something different. But yeah, it was definitely to pursue. I was in NSW at the time as well, so I wanted to be up here training full time with them, and had a little bit of work lined up, which was okay. But yeah, I kind of was really excited about it, but didn't really realise how hard it would have been. But haven't really turned back. So
Yeah, no, good to hear, good to hear. So going back to you guys, your school days there, were you always focused just on hockey or sport in general, or were you actually thinking
yeah,
of any side of academics? Because I listened to quite a few podcasts, and a lot of those athletes that have been quite successful have actually just been focused on their sport, which is obviously not what the parents' advice usually. Usually it's quite,
yeah.
get a backup plan. But did you have one, or were you just focused straight on sport?
I was pretty focused, especially when being in parks. I played so many different sports, and my school, I was lucky at my school. My school was probably more so of a rugby league school. And it was massive. Like, it was awesome. You play some games out the front of the school and the whole school comes out and supports. And it was just a real cool kind of vibe. Like, I enjoyed my academics as well, but I definitely was more focused on my sport and probably put more of my time and effort into that than I should have. But I enjoyed school and enjoyed learning. But yeah, I definitely just loved my sport at the time. And it was just the way it was in parks. Like, it just, you didn't really think twice about it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, understandable, and obviously the success of that Western region, especially in the current times of the rugby league world, has been quite a success. That Penrith team is basically half that Western region at the moment, so there's definite emphasis on the sport out there, which is good to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few of your
Definitely.
mates playing, I'm sure.
Definitely, yeah. My good mate Bill Burns, he's having a good run for Panthers at the moment, and then obviously everyone saw Charlie Staines in the weekend, Forbes Magpies boy. But yeah, it's cool. It's pretty special to see the successful kids coming out of the Western region, and there's great kids out there, and the sport's great as well. So it's awesome.
No, good. So also on your school days, you wouldn't have spent much time there by the sounds of it. I'm looking through your representative honours, and there's quite a few long lists there. 2015 obviously is when you made your debut in the under-21s Australian setup. But to tell us a bit about that, were you actually at school a lot, especially in your senior years?
I copped a lot at school because I was actually in 2014, my last year. I happened to be school captain as well, and I was never there. I toured Africa that year, and I also toured Vanuatu for Youth Olympic qualifiers. So I was not there a lot. I tried to get there as much as I can, but yeah, like you said, that's probably what did affect my academic studies. Like, to an extent, I was away a lot, struggled to catch up. But that was my decision, and I got to travel the world while I was doing it, so that was pretty fun. But yeah, I copped a lot of a
Yeah,
lot of
but you
it.
got to. Yeah, the old vice captain of the school takes over duties for quite a few, I would have thought.
Absolutely, yeah. So school captain never here. Anyway, play on.
Yeah. Well, you've made the right choice. That's fine. So let's go on to that side of the under 21s Australian setup. So you've played 2 years for that, 2015 and 2016,
Yep.
in the Joe Hall Cup there. Tell us a bit about them and the experience, because I'm assuming that probably would have been one of your first major tours of a really high performance level.
Yeah, so that was all like a Junior World Cup prep. I was involved. It was probably even 2014 as well. It really started. I remember having a futures camp at Brisbane, and that was with like the Youth Olympic qualifiers, and I actually missed out on the Youth Olympics itself. But yeah, involved in all that. Sultan Joe missed out. I actually missed out on. It was the Junior World Cup qualifiers in Gold Coast. We had like probably 30 kids, 30 of us up there trying. We played like a couple of trial matches, and I got dropped for the games itself, which was fine, but just kind of made me work a little bit harder. And then, yeah, made the Sultan Joe in 2015, which was cool. Went over there. We didn't win. We weren't overly successful. And then the following year went again, and we won convincingly. We had a pretty red-hot team, and that led into the Junior World Cup in December 2016 at a place called Lucknow in India, which is funny because there's a little Lucknow place near Parks as well. But yeah, it was awesome. It was a crazy experience. I was pretty young still, 18, 19. Got to tour around a fair bit, play a lot of hockey. It took up a lot of my time in my first 2 years in Sydney. Like, that was our focus, Junior World Cup. I wanted to go to India. So we're just basically training full time for that. It was cool. I had a couple of close mates with me as well, like Lockie Sharp went, Ryan Proctor, a few of them. Timmy Brennan was involved as well. So that was special. And then there was a big gap sort of that between that and now, but yeah, it was cool.
Tell us a bit about touring India. You've seen it obviously on TV, and you see, I guess, the cricket is crazy, but actually people don't really realise hockey is actually probably their predominant sport over there. So tell us a bit about the touring side of that.
Yeah, pretty crazy. It was a bit weird. Like Lucknow, it's kind of in essence, like a smaller kind of, I don't know, city north of India. It gets pretty cold actually, but it was crazy. We were in kind of a bit of a bubble for 3 weeks. It was very strict on what we could do, where we could go. I think there was maybe some terrorist threats around the time as well. So basically, all we did was play hockey, go back to the hotel and play cards basically for 3 weeks. It's crazy. It's a great experience if you're ready for it. You've got to understand the culture and just know that it's not like Australia. So it was cool to go over there and try and embrace it. And the hockey's the biggest thing, like the experience of playing hockey over there. We played the semi-final against India, Junior World Cup. We lost in a shootout, but it's probably 20,000 people there. Not many rules, people going crazy.
India wouldn't have been much well, wouldn't have been much physical distancing around that time in India. I wouldn't have thought.
No way. It was awesome. That's what you go there for. You go there to play hockey in front of the crowds, and they love it. They're fanatics. So it's cool.
Tell us about your diet over there, because obviously, if people don't know, Kurt's allergic to nuts, and so that could have been a bit of a challenge for you over there, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I've spent a bit of time in India now, and it's always an interesting one. At times, I kind of just end up eating rice and chicken for as many days I'm over there, but it's tough because a lot of the time you go to the cooks and you're like, oh, just no nuts, and they go say, oh, more nuts, but yeah, it's a funny one because you don't exactly want to end up in a hospital over India as well. So
no, I wouldn't have thought so. I wouldn't have thought it'd be the safest place.
Not the easiest thing, but you just got to be safe. I always pack a couple of cans of tuna in the bag and baked beans, Vegemite, all that kind of thing. So
sounds delicious.
Stay safe that way.
Let's take a rewind now. Let's go back to your junior hockey, I guess, and coming through parks and playing for the association and then making those teams. Basically, take us through a bit of a timeline from, I guess, under 12s. I'm guessing you made were you a Catholic school? You were a CCC guy in the primary school stuff?
Yeah, so we were Polding.
That's right.
In primary schools, Polding, Catholic sort of combined primary schools. We played, I remember it was down at Albury. It rained all weekend. I think we missed a few games. It was, we were playing in like a foot of water. But that was probably my first state team back in the day. I think that team too had guys like Blake Govers, Lockie Sharp. Who else do we have in there? Probably first few cookers. Guys like Bradley Hughes, who's up at Queensland now, a few of those. But pretty red hot team. Pretty sure we beat Queensland in the final.
Good to hear.
But pretty lucky from there. I made 13. My last year of 13s and up, probably every state team.
Yeah, good. It's because, I guess, as you said earlier, hockey's pathway is quite clear, which is probably one of the positives. And I'm talking from a New South Wales point of view, from what I know, but it is quite clear from you play for your association, then you make a state team, and you kind of go from there. And it's a nice little, I guess, incline upwards where, as you said, league can be a little bit more difficult and confusing, which is, of course, one of the reasons you chose hockey.
Yeah, it is clear because you get to have the opportunity to go away with your state team every year, I guess, and you go and you meet people, but obviously, league's very different. League's probably more focused in the school system. You go away as a school, you make your combined Catholic colleges or your CHS, whatever it is, and then you can make your Aussie schoolboys. But with hockey, it's not that focused in the school sort of side of things. So, it's fine. And you have your state champs as well, which is super cool. You get to go away on the weekends during the year and play against, like I'm sure you and I have played against each other, Tamworth Parks, that kind of thing. So it was just more opportunity to go away and enjoy yourself, I think. And it was still serious, like hockey's growing up in 13. I remember 13s nationals and stuff like that. It's nuts. It's sheep stations, absolutely. So it's pretty lucky, that aspect in hockey.
You would have toured around a little bit. So basically run us through some of the places you've been from your under 13s, 15s, 18s, 21s around Australia. Yep. You nearly would have covered most states, I would have thought.
Almost. I had, so that under the primary school one, I'll talk about that. That was cool. That was a PSG at Canberra, actually. So that was, I remember when we played Singapore, it was like kind of a mini Olympics for the young kids. And then from 13s, I played at Maryborough, up near Harvey Bay, like Sunshine Coast kind of area, Queensland.
It's a little random area,
which was interesting. Yeah, it was nice. We stayed on Harvey Bay. 15s, Melbourne. Second year of 15s, Adelaide. Then you put 16s in there as well, 16s all schools. Played a couple of years in Tassie. 18s, I played in Newey, that was a good one. Melbourne, Canberra again. But yeah, and then lucky with AHL, I've played in Perth a couple of times. The one place I probably haven't been is Darwin. Haven't played hockey in Darwin yet. Played everywhere, probably everywhere since.
Because there was an AHL up there a couple of years ago, wasn't there? Was that the year before you made your debut?
Year before I had a run, yep.
Yep.
They played up there and haven't. I think they are struggling a little bit up there, so haven't been up there since. Yeah.
Let's move on to that, the Waratahs side of things, because obviously if the hockey community mostly will know, but if people don't know the hockey side of things, the Hockey One League just launched last year, and it had to be cancelled this year due to COVID, obviously. So basically before that, there was a state system, and it was just all at a 2-week kind of tournament away, which is the New South Wales Waratahs and the New South Wales Arrows as their men's and women's teams respectively. So tell us about your experience there, Kurt. You obviously made your debut when you were 2016, when you were 19 there. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was pretty special. Like it was just awesome because we were lucky enough to always have a very strong team. We didn't exactly perform that well at the AHL series. But yeah, Buster, Warren Birmingham, was a coach in 2016. Lucky enough, he picked me and he trusted me in my capabilities, and it was good. I played pretty well. Like definitely cemented my place in the Junior World Cup team in late 2016, which was good. That was kind of the selection for the Johor team. The AHL, it was just before Johor, so that was. But it was good. We came third there, so I got 2 bronze at Perth, 1 silver at Gold Coast, and then gold this year. But yeah, AHL was cool. Like, it was special over at Perth. The 13s were there as well. We got to mingle with them, do a few sessions with them, a bit of sort of mentoring, which was nice. We're in it very tight in it, like staying at a hotel for 2 weeks together, which was cool. Like, the culture was nice, but it's kind of changed to the best, obviously, with the Hockey One coming in this year.
Yeah, so you touched on that mentoring part when you're over in Perth. When you first went into that Waratahs setup, obviously there was quite a few Kookaburras, as you said, in that team. You had quite a red hot team most of the time. Who was, I guess, your go-to guy or mentor in those type of teams?
Yeah, so my first year, 2016, which was the Rio year as well. So the Cookers had just come out of Rio, not exactly successful, and a lot of them chose not to play, which was fair enough, like, on them. But Simon Orchard still played, and he's definitely been a big mentor of mine since then. Like, he's a pretty close friend now, and helped me out a lot with not just hockey, but like just a bit of everything. You sort of can call him and have a chat whenever you want. And he was great. Same as like guys like Tristan White, Kieran Gubbers was flowing through as well. They've all been like, and even the younger guys like Flynn, Tom, who I'm lucky enough to play with now, like, they've all helped me in different ways. I was just a young kid coming out from Parks, I guess, and just loved playing a bit of hockey. But yeah, they've helped me a lot.
Yeah, no, it's good. And that's probably the thing with the hockey community. They're always quite helpful with each other. It's not really that rivalry. I wouldn't have thought too much, and they're all quite helpful, which is always nice to see. Let's touch on a bit, I guess, that work-life balance and a bit of study from when you first moved to Sydney. So obviously to get to these teams requires an immense amount of training. But hockey, again, is not that sport where you can just move to Sydney and get paid to train, basically. You actually have to work part-time, full-time, and I guess have some study options as well there. So tell us a bit about when you first moved to Sydney. Were you studying? Did you work full-time, part-time?
Yeah, so I moved to Sydney, obviously with Swiss and Gordon, and was working full-time as well. I was doing a bit of construction work, which was interesting. But yeah, like you said, I was doing big days. I was working like 6 till 4 in the city at that time, and then I was getting the train back home and driving to training, and I'd get home at 9 o'clock every night. Playing for Gordon as well. We're training in North Sydney, so my days were big. My days were 6 till 9. 5 days a week, and then I was playing club on Saturday, which was big. So my Sunday was my day off, I guess, and that was the grind. I kind of look back at it now, and I just didn't really think twice of it. That's just what I did, and it sort of flowed on. And then my second year at Gordon, I actually moved to UNSW, where the club I'm still at now, and it's about to start the comp this weekend coming, but yeah, I changed to them for a kind of opportunity to be able to study at UNSW. I was doing doing some studies there for that was in 2016, leading up to the Junior World Cup. I was there for probably about a year. But it was, again, I'd moved at that time as well to the east. Sydney's not exactly the cheapest place in the world to live at. So
Not at all.
I was working full-time, training full-time, studying full-time, and trying to, I don't know, get by in Sydney. So I decided to sort of put my studies on hold at the time and, get back and do a bit of work. I was just too stressed. I had too much on my plate. I was doing too much. I was stressed. I was not making a lot of money because I was working on like 3 or 4 little weird jobs trying to get by. So
Yeah. No, I think that's the thing that I guess the hockey community can understand it a little bit, but the non-hockey people that might be listening to this, I don't think they understand it's the hockey and the money in hockey is not there just yet. But the athletes and the training that is involved in it is still incredibly high. So I guess your N-Swiss training schedule is you got morning sessions probably twice a week and then night sessions twice a week, plus squeezing in work and then additional sessions for your club and then your personal fitness sessions. It's quite a hefty schedule, and as you just mentioned, when there's a lot on your plate, that makes it quite difficult to guess, for one, maintain your performance, but for two, just get by. As you said, Sydney's not the cheapest place, so I guess you have to work a certain amount of hours to get by, but you also have to keep up that level of training, don't you?
Yeah, it was the pure like the social life enjoyment of like just your life in Sydney. Like that's what I found. I found I was just like living this kind of, like, it was just, everything was just like set in stone. I was just going to work, I was going to training, I was doing uni, full stop. Like I had my club. So I had to take a step back and try and enjoy myself a little bit. I was lucky. UNSW is a great club and had a lot of fun there. We pretty successful too. Like we're a young team and made a grand final a couple of years ago. But yeah, like you said, it's hockey's tough. You got to. It's not like your rugby league where you can just jump in and make your money and that's all you do. Like I've had 1,000 jobs in Sydney. I've lived in 1,000 different places and it's taken its toll. But at the same time, you learn a lot of things along like the journey, and it's enjoyable because you keep busy and you work hard to be able to get to where you can. And I guess it sort of paid off for me to an extent.
Yeah. No, exactly right. And I think those life lessons, as you said, you probably learn along the way is a thing that you probably don't realise at the time, but as a few years on, you start to realise that those things actually matter and they count towards later on. So let's jump ahead now. So let's say you've played a bit of hockey in Sydney, you've gone to your Junior World Cups, you've made your Waratahs debut, you've been picked in the Australian development squad. First year, was it 2015 or 16? Or was it a bit later?
Try to think back. I reckon it would have been after Junior World Cup. So I would have been in the junior squads leading up to Junior World Cup, and then I played okay at Junior World Cup, a bit on and off. But yeah, I definitely got picked in the development squad after that. There may have been another camp that we had, may have been from AHL or 21s, but yeah, definitely development in 2016, 2017, and some of 2018 as well.
So what does that Australian junior, or so just the Australian development squad entail? What does it actually mean?
So it's basically the second tier. So you got the Kookaburra squad of 27, and then you have the development squad. So it can range from, I think at the moment there's almost like 17 guys in it, but it can range from like, I've been in it when there was only like 9 or 10, maybe 7. Yeah, it's that kind of tier under. You get invited over to Perth for some VAAs, which is like a training agreement that you may go over for a week and get to train with the Kookaburras and kind of get a feel of what they're doing over there. You get invited to a lot more sort of Kookaburra camps. Like I went to a few camps in Canberra and Perth where we played inter-squad games with the Kookaburras, and it was essentially trials for the Kookaburras. I didn't make it from those two, but yeah, you're just a next step up from the junior squad and the junior sort of thing. So you're classified as a sort of senior player, I guess. And we had a few development squad tours as well. I went to Europe in, what year was that? Maybe 2017. It was unreal. There was no real pressure. It was just we toured Europe and played some test matches against a few countries and saw the hockey over there, which was exciting. And then maybe I had a few series at Perth as well. Series against India, series against Malaysia. But yeah, it's just your stepping stone to the Cookers.
Yeah, good.
basically.
To
Yeah,
tell us a bit about that tour of Europe there. How was that? I guess that would have been your first senior tour. I'm
mm,
guessing with you had your junior ones for your junior World Cups and that, but that would have been your
yeah,
first one with, I guess, in the real Australian senior setup there. And I'm
yeah.
guessing there would have been a few Kookaburras in that tour as well.
Yeah, definitely. There was. It was cool. It was cool to be able to go away with a few different players and also different coaches as well. Like we had Ben Bishop there who coached New York Cup, but Potts came as well. Anthony Potter who coaches the Kookaburras now. So that was fun. But yeah, it was just good to be able to play a few with like a few different players. The guys like Tim Howard was there, Corey Weir, um, Johan Durst, the keeper for the Cougars now. There's a bit of an older group, like guys like Kurt Mackey, who's from Tassie. He was there as well. So that was, yeah, it was just something different. And being in Europe itself was different as well. Like the hockey was interesting. We played against some very different teams. Played against like the Ireland men's national team. We played against the Dutch juniors, the German juniors, the Belgium juniors. But it was more of an experience kind of tour, and just developing as a hockey player. It was all about development. Like we didn't have a lot of pressure to win, really. Like obviously we're Aussies and we wanted to win, but we weren't going over there to play a tournament. It was more so just friendlies and to experience the hockey in Europe, which was super lucky. Like they haven't had a tour like that since, and it was really really awesome.
Does sound like that good experience. What did I guess is the main pickup from those tours? As you said, it's more of a development one. Did you find out a lot about yourself, or did you pick little, I guess, things that other players did to prepare for games, or I guess tours in general? Obviously, you don't have much break on a tour. I guess in a few days between games and a bit of training in there. But did you pick up anything that you learned from just yourself or from others about their preparation or your preparation?
Yeah, so it was. We did a lot of driving and sort of traveling over there with like you said, a lot of games as well. So the big thing was just like trying to play consistent hockey, like keeping your body keeping your body healthy and fit and sort of ready to go. Like it was hard to be able to play consistent games the whole time. We're playing a game maybe every second day, so that was the biggest thing was me to be able to balance my hockey and um, if anyone's ever seen me play, I like to go pretty like I don't know.
You're a country boy. You go about 110 miles an
I
hour.
go 110 miles all the time. So it was kind of like understanding my game and understanding how I've got to sort of slow myself down, like play very sort of balanced hockey and positive hockey and consistent over there as well. Because that's the main thing. You get picked in the representative teams in Australia when you play consistent hockey at different nationals and different tournaments, and they can see that you can play good under any circumstance, I guess. So.
So I guess you're being selected in these teams. Obviously, seen a lot of potential in there. What was probably your biggest strength that they were picking you for? Obviously, you said consistency was one of the ones that you wanted to work on a bit more. But what was your big strength? Was it your body size and the actual physical aspect of it, or was it actual kind of game thinking, or a bit of combination?
Yeah, I've been lucky. I've sort of physically, I guess I'm quite quick and strong. So that's already in favour of me with my hockey. But I had to develop a lot. Like in the younger groups, I kind of got away with just being sort of faster and a bit bigger. But I had to, from sort of 18 upwards, I had to really sort of grind away at my hockey and be smart and I had so many different experiences with so many different coaches, and I just had to take it all in. Like a lot of the feedback I was getting was work on your passing, work on your vision, be smarter, be more balanced, which was tough because I love that 110 mile, like an hour hockey. I love running. I love going hard. But yeah, I just had to sort of take a step back. And that's what it was lucky through AHL and those kind of things as well, because I got to talk to those senior players and those really experienced guys who could help me. And they saw what I was doing. And they were, like I was doing some good things, but at the same time, I had to fix the little tiny things that were probably affecting my game a little bit negatively at the time. But yeah, I think naturally my physical sort of ability has always helped me. My quickness and strength. Like I've played midfield and I play striker now for the Kookaburras, but at that time I was playing a lot of midfield. So yeah, just my strength to sort of break lines through the midfield and eliminate players. I guess I've sort of working on my still working on my passing because it always needs work and my give and go, that kind of thing. And obviously goal shooting can always get some work. But yeah, definitely my strength through the midfield and up front now too.
Yeah, good. You touched on, I guess, your Waratahs experience. That your first year, was that the year that we had Warren as head coach and then Brent Livermore as one of the assistants?
The first year, yeah, it would have been. Livers would have been floating around.
I was going to say that's a bit of experience there. You've got about three or four
Absolutely.
Olympics in there and a captain of a gold medal winning team in that
Yeah.
coaching staff. That would have helped you quite a bit, I would have thought.
Yeah, it was always. I've been lucky. So Livers has been my coach ever since I moved to Sydney. So that's always been awesome. But yeah, AHL was cool. It was everyone sort of took bagged us a little bit because we had the biggest coaching staff ever. We had about 6 guys floating around, but it was awesome because you had Buster, obviously experience. He was a different style of coaching to Livers, but he's helped me massively coming through, and he's a great mentor through the AHL years. And the Livers I sort of see day in day out here at Sydney with N Swiss, but even guys like Dave Willett, Stuart Deering, they've all helped in a way. Like Dave's still involved with the New South Wales Pride at the moment, and he's a massive mentor. He just looks after us. He knows his hockey. You'll never meet a more passionate New South Wales hockey player than Dave Willett, and you kind of just play for guys like that.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Mate, let's move forward now. Let's move forward onto past the Waratah years and the old AHL, and we've gone into the first ever Hockey One League, which is, I guess, that first step in the professionalism of hockey in Australia and in a bit more of a domestic league. We're having a bit of a home away series, and I guess new branded teams. So the New South Wales Pride was obviously the mighty New South Wales team, which the men's team was lucky enough to get the victory. Tell us a bit about that and how you found that first kind of experience of a domestic competition.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I was pretty lucky to be able to be involved in the first season of it. It was different. Everyone was kind of unsure of what was going to happen. It was going to be successful, unsure of the uniforms and new teams. But look, if you look back at it in the scheme of things, the first season, first year was awesome. I think it was really successful. The home and away, it was some awesome hockey. Everyone got involved. Everyone tried. Everyone enjoyed it. I think there was no faults really. And the team, all the new teams coming in, all the names and everything. I just thought it was great, and it helped that us as New South Wales Pride went really well and happened to go undefeated and win the tournament. But it was really special to be involved. Something different. It felt a little bit more professional. It was on TV week in, week out. We got to travel around. And we played some really good hockey. So it was a really special year, and it was a really, really, really fun year.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting time for hockey if that keeps going forward and keeps growing like it should.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about the challenges of that. I guess I've talked to Livers a couple of times about coaching such a talented group of players, but again, you probably had 7 or 8 Kookaburras coming back from Perth a couple of times a week to play and train, and getting everyone on that same page. I think as a player, how is it to kind of try and gel with players that, for one, you haven't played with much in recent times because of being in Perth and others have been in Sydney, and just getting everyone together as a group in such a short, I guess, amount of time to be so successful?
Yeah, it's tough. I think it's been the case for us the last 3 or 4 years. We've always had a strong team on paper, but it was just getting the performance in the park. And we have, like you said, we got a lot of Kookaburras in our team, and they were flying back from Perth. I wasn't a Kookaburra at the time, and I kind of just, because we had so many good players, so many good, and it's strong personalities as well, guys that knew their hockey and wanted to share their opinions. So I kind of sat back. I just wanted to play hockey, and I listened to Livers, listened to the player, listened to our captain, Tristan White, and that kind of thing. But it was tough, Livers. We come together as a team, and we gelled because we just had fun, to be honest. We were having fun week in, week out, playing some crazy good hockey. And we were all young kids. Our oldest player was Tristan White, our captain, and he actually didn't play one week at Brisbane. We were running around. Flynn Ogilvy was our oldest player. I think he's 25,
Just to
26.
interrupt you there a second, Kurt. You're
Yeah.
okay. There's a few sirens in the background. A bit of a robbery going on, is there, or what's happening?
I don't know what's happening here in North Sydney. It's a bit going on.
All good, all good. Sorry, just want to make sure you were safe. Continue.
Yeah, so it was like you said. It's not the easiest team to pull together and play well, but we obviously made it work last year, and it was unreal. We played some very, very good hockey.
Yeah, no, I definitely saw a lot of that on KO and Fox Sports as it got to finals time. That was probably your breakout in terms of that consistent performance that I guess the Australian selectors and coaches were looking for. Because obviously after that you got picked in the Australian squad, the top 27 there. So firstly, congratulations on that. But secondly, did you feel that you got that level of consistency that you were after in that tournament?
Yeah, definitely. It was good because we had a very sort of, our structure was sort of same in, same out every week. We played a game, we'd travel, we'd train twice during the week, we'd get together. We had our same sort of, we just did the same thing every week, and it was consistent in structure sort of wise, and it sort of allowed me to play multi as well. And like I said, I sort of sat back. I didn't get involved in the coaching too much. I just did what Livers wanted me to do. I did what I felt I needed to do. I was I knew what the coaches wanted to see. And I was very relaxed. It helped as well because I knew we had a good team, and I knew that I could just play my role. I didn't have to do anything out of my sort of control. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, to be honest. I just found the enjoyment in the tournament and my own hockey, and just had fun. Played good, relaxed hockey, and it happened to sort of pay off, I guess.
No, the boys are definitely very successful and played super hockey throughout that time. So
Yeah.
let's basically move forward, and we go to basically you've just been named in the Australian squad for the, I guess, 2019-2020 year, Olympic year. So for one, exciting times for to be named in your first Australian squad. But tell us, I guess, your process and how you found out, and actually, I guess, who'd you call? Who'd you tell straight up?
It was interesting. So we played the Hockey One final on the Saturday in Melbourne. We won, obviously. We had a few days of enjoyment, I think you might put it that way. But anyway, it was good.
It's a given.
Had a few. We celebrated, obviously, and it was great to win. It was sort of a long time coming. But yeah, it got to the Wednesday, I think it was. Batchy called me. Missed his call. I was getting ready for work. Remember that? And then, called him back, and he basically just said, yeah, look, very happy with your Hockey One. You've made the Kookaburras for 2020 and need you to move to Perth in the new year. And I was kind of like, oh, all good, hung up. And then at the time, my family was in the UK. So I sat there and didn't really have anyone to call to me. I was like, oh, right, drove to work and shed a few tears. And I was like, oh, all good.
Yeah.
And then I was in Perth a couple of weeks later with an induction camp. So it all kind of went really quickly, and never had time to grasp the fact that I'd just made it. But it was, it was a bit of a whirlwind.
And I guess that's another thing that people, I guess, not in the hockeying world would know, that it's a base camp in Perth. So both the Kookaburras and Hockeyroos, if you make the squad, you got to move your whole life over to Perth and readjust, don't you? So I guess talk us through that. It's a big move from New South Wales to Perth in the space of about a month or two, just around that Christmas period as well. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just the way it is, I guess. Like the daily training environment's in Perth, so we got to make the move, and that's what I've wanted to do over the last 5 or 6 years. Like I wanted that, so that was fine. But yeah, it's huge. I pack up, put my car in a truck, fly over, and I was lucky enough. Nathan Ephraim's from Victoria. He also made it. Good mates with him, and then Gab Nance from Queensland got put back in the squad. So we moved into a house together at Perth. It was pretty dangerous, actually. None of us had lived together before, but we worked out good. We're all very close. We love each other, and it's been an awesome house. And we kind of fitted in, sort of started to enjoy the Perth life. But it was like you said, just the turnaround of living in Sydney and doing my Sydney life, and being in Perth and getting into the sort of the Kookaburras daily training environment and that kind of life. It's very different, and it was tough to adapt a little bit. It is a different lifestyle, but that's what I wanted, and I was enjoying it when I was in Perth. Obviously, times have changed now, but it was very sort of crazy couple of months anyway.
I bet. I was going to say, and there's some of the challenges being faced there, as you mentioned, was, I guess, getting into that rhythm of being in that high performance kind of sector. And that was there anything or anyone that really helped you in particular that kind of adjusted, or was, I guess, that experiences in the development camps over there before helped you a lot?
Yeah, I was lucky because I do know most of the guys, and I knew them already from the camps that I had been over there, and I have been involved the last couple of years. So I'm very lucky in that aspect. But the training's tough. It's nothing compared to what we have. Like NSW is tough, but it's a different level over there. And it did take me a few weeks to get used to it. Just like physically probably, and getting, we were training early mornings. We're up at 5:30. You're there at 6 o'clock. You're ready to go by 6:15. So just little things like that, just the whole routine, and getting understanding how to get around Perth as well, which took a bit, but I think I finally got it sorted. But yeah.
Were you working over there at all to start with?
No, it wasn't. It was had a busy start of the year. I moved over, then we were back in Sydney a couple of weeks with Pro League. Went to India. And then our training actually changed a little bit to later in the day because of the weather in Tokyo that was predicted. It was going to be very hot, so we sort of changed that just to sort of get acclimatized a little bit. So, and with gym in the afternoon, there wasn't exactly a massive amount of time for me to fit in some work, and I was still getting used to Perth and sort of figuring out exactly what I wanted to do in the long run. So I was just sort of training hard and enjoying the first couple of months over there. Yeah.
Yeah, understandable. And I guess that's another thing that the non-hockey community, I guess, might not realise is that people represent Australia and play 100 caps for Australia, but still actually have to work. It's incredible with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just the amount of
Yeah.
effort that goes into that. As you said, the training schedule is chaotic as well, and fitting on, I guess, work and as well as some social life and that extra training and studies. Sometimes it's a very
Yeah.
chaotic kind of time over there for some people.
Yeah, we are lucky we have the opportunity to work because when the training is in the mornings, like early from 6 to 9 kind of thing. A lot of the guys do go away and work, and they fit gym in here and there or whatever it is. But most of the guys do study. It's a perfect sort of scenario to be able to study, and we get paid a little bit, so which is always nice. It might be a spot, you might get some sponsor money or that kind of thing. But yeah, you do need to do something else to keep busy. And to sort of for a bit of extra income down the long run. But yeah, it's definitely not like a lot of other professional, well, we're semi-amateurs, I guess, but it's not like a professional sports like rugby league and AFL where you can just, that's all you do.
Yeah, exactly right. The league players have their weight session in the morning, then they just go for a cafe for 5 hours and then pop back into another session. So
Yeah.
not nice and easy there. But I said that this is probably one of the reasons that I wanted to kind of do this podcast and get the hockey community on here and the players, coaches, officials, is just to basically explain that to people and get that message out that it's not as easy as I think. It's one of the highest training sports that I've seen people train for. It's very tough, but they also have to work for a living. And I think that's probably why the hockey community is so grounded in many aspects, I reckon, is that they actually they do their hard work, but they also have to work and just be, I guess, a normal person, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And people ask me like that as well, like what's the culture like in Perth and what is it like training? Like, because I'm training with guys that have been, like Eddie Ocken's been in the Olympics 3 times, but we're on the same level over there because we go to training every day. Everyone knows that we're all making the same amount of money. We're all training the same amount. We're just doing the same thing. Like, there's no one, like, you're not walking in training. There's not like I don't know, Cherry Evans next to you that's earning like $2 million. Like we're all on the same level. We've all done the same thing to get there. And it's just, yeah, like you said, it's a very modest kind of, it is a modest sport because it's hard work and you do have to grind away to get there. And you still have to grind away at the top level as well. It's not easy at all. So and I think back in the day, I think that's why I did actually go off hockey, because I think the people are just better in general.
Yeah, no, good. Mate, let's jump forward now. You've made your debut against Great Britain at Sydney Olympic Park, which is good. Give us the backstory about how you got that selection call up and I guess when it was made. And same thing, who'd you tell? I guess your parents weren't in Europe this time, so you could give them a call straight away.
Yeah. So yeah, the whole squad had come to Sydney we played Belgium over a weekend, and the following weekend we were playing GB. The Belgium team came out when we were in Perth, so that was already known. We had no idea about the UK. Batchy mentioned to me, he said he planned to play me at some time, so I kind of had my hopes up that I'd be playing, I don't know, somewhere. But I still didn't really know. I played, and then we came over and I was part of the Oz A team that played a couple of warm-up games against the Belgium A team. I actually rolled my ankle really bad in the first game, so I was out of action for like, I think 7 or 8 days trying to get that right. And then the first game against GB, the team got picked. I didn't get named. And then I think that afternoon we were training, and Batchy came to me at training and said, Truck, you're playing tomorrow. Go put some ice on your ankle. And it was just a relief. I was just like, oh, thank God. And knowing that my family would be able to come up and watch, and I was sort of very familiar with Olympic Park. We trained there like way too much, and it was just, yeah, it was such a relief to know that I was finally going to be playing in front of my home crowd, and yeah, it was very special. But it did long time coming, that's for sure.
It's good for that. Again, I was sitting in the crowd cheering you on. I would have thought about 80% of that crowd was either Parks or Kurt Lovett supporters anyway. So you definitely had a following there. But tell us a bit about your number 18. I guess one of your good mates was number 18 in the Australian setup before you. You got to choose your number, I understand, from when you get into the Australian setup. So tell us a bit
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, so when I got picked, it was funny. It was pretty soon after we got a text and it was like, what number do you want? And it was sort of a range of numbers. And I saw number 18 there, and that was, Tristan White's number, who was my captain for AHL, and he's played a number of games for the Kookaburras as well. But I sort of jumped at that straight away because I just know he's such a good guy. He's a bit of a mentor of mine. He was a great captain, and I just think he's all around just a great guy. So I was straight away would have loved to and have loved wearing number 18 because I know such an awesome guy has wore it before me. And I sent him a little message, and it was fine. I wanted to make sure it was okay, but it's good to know that I'm wearing a number that none of the great guys wore before me. Number 18, yeah.
Oh, I think that's such a nice thing to say because again, it's just that hockey and culture. I think as we touched on before, of you asking someone's permission that you knew the person before. It's just a bit of a respect thing from yourself, by the sounds of it. You just wanted to make sure it was okay, and I guess give him the heads up that his number is going to be taken by yourself, which is great, mate. So your debut started on the bench. You're about to run on for the first time, Olympic Park against Great Britain. How was the feeling? How was the emotions going through there?
It was good. It was awesome playing at home, but at the same time, it was very distracting. Like I had a lot of people there. I wanted to do the right things, like by them as well, and say hi and everything. But it was like you said, starting on the bench. I think it was 4 minutes in, rotation up. But it was cool. It just felt like I was at home. Olympic Park. I spent so much time there, so running was no different. I just had an Australian jersey on, instead of a New South Wales jersey. But it was very special, and we were lucky enough to play pretty awesome that game, and I think we won 6-1 maybe. We
should have been 7 from memory as well. If you want to tell us that story for the listeners out there, Kurt Lovett. There's about 5 seconds to go in the game. Beats the keeper, open goal, clock running down. I'll let you continue from there.
Yeah, rumor is, they took their keeper off with 5 minutes to go, and I think it was Spoon maybe got a turnover on our 25, threw it to Wedo, and I was like, oh, I'm on here. I've fucking put the foot down, and I'm steaming up, and Wedo threw me a beautiful ball on top of the circle, no keeper, and I just didn't want to miss, so I trapped it nice and clean. I took 2 steps where I should have taken 1, and I pushed it, and as I pushed it, supposedly. But
I was going to say, let's get this clear here. Awarded a goal. Great Britain down 6-1, and the captain just puts the big, I'll have a review of that, please.
Let's review that.
Let's review the debutante's goal.
And then I shake the captain's hand, and he's like, sorry, mate, probably shouldn't have done that. I was like, oh, cheers, bro. All good.
It's the last thing you want to hear after being robbed of it.
I got to celebrate. We still celebrated because it was awarded a goal. So, and all the boys, my mates up in the corner as well. So it was still, I still think about just the celebration and how cool it was to be out there with the boys and winning my first game in Australia. So it was cool. But yeah, it would have been nice to have a goal on the sheet as well.
You're definitely right, mate. Getting towards the end of our chat now, but I've got a few random questions to pop out here now. Okay, so this is basically a thing that started in our office, and you worked for Hockey South Wales with me. So basically, if anyone that come in the office that we didn't know much about, we try to ask them a few random questions just to get their type of personality. So the main rule for this one is you're not allowed to fence sit. It's an answer either way. You can't sit in between, and you know that.
Yep.
So the first one we're going to go with is peanut butter, smooth, crunchy, or in your case, anaphylactics, which is a simple question.
I reckon I'd be smooth, but in my case, anaphylaxis and death.
Best to stay away. Good choice. Tomato and barbecue sauce, fridge or cupboard?
Cupboard.
Reason?
Just, I don't want to put cold sauce on my hot pie.
Fair enough. Fair reason. Very valid. Orange juice, pulp, no pulp?
Pulpy. All natural.
Yeah.
I'm all natural. I love that old natural juice you get from, I don't know, wherever with the pulp on the bottom.
Yep, fair enough too. And now, as an athlete, this one might not apply, but chocolate, fridge or cupboard?
I reckon it depends on what chocolate.
Okay, so I'm
a bit in between. Sorry, I'm on the fence here.
No, it's okay. No, I'm happy for that. But what chocolate goes in the fridge and what chocolate goes in the cupboard then?
So a block of, true. Like a block of Cadbury, I'm going cupboard.
Yeah.
But a pack of Tim Tams, fridge.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Or like a Kit Kat, fridge.
Yep, Okay, interesting.
Like them cold and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair. Mate, the final question I got for you for today is, and I guess I think you'd have a few here too. So, who's the most famous person you know that would come up and greet you by your first name? So not just or nickname, but you prefer this to be non-hockey. But if you walk past it, I guess if Scott Morrison, if you know him and he comes up, goes, "Hey Kurt, how you going, mate?" Who's the most famous person for you?
Famous person. Oh, I don't. That's a tough one. Besides Nathan Walker.
Yes. Yep. Minus him.
Famous person.
There's a few footy players I would have thought get thrown about.
Yeah, a few young. I don't know. Maybe like a few mates playing, like Jack Cogger, Bulldogs, Scotty Drinkwater. Those kind of guys, I guess. But yes, I wouldn't know who else. Singers, I don't know. Who's a singer?
Oh, you've got a good singer friend, don't you? Old Vera?
Oh yeah, Vera Blue. Yeah, Celia Pavis. She's a Forbes girl. I went to school with her. That'd probably be it. Yeah, Vera Blue.
That's a fair one to have up
that's a good
the
one.
sleeve for sure.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
No, good.
That's a good one.
Exactly right, mate. I appreciate your time today, and I hope the hockey community and I guess anyone else out here listening to this podcast really gets a good understanding of, I guess, who you're about and the hockey and high performance industry and how it kind of takes to get there. So, mate, I really appreciate your time today, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Hockey News Wales. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.